How's it going, everyone? This is DJ Aceman and Big Don here today for the Peace and Chaos program. No intro, we're going right into it. Hope everyone is doing well today. We have a lot to talk about, including what is going on right now in Afghanistan. We're also going to be talking about what has gone on with former governor now of New York, Andrew Cuomo. We're going to talk about the My Pillow CEO, Mike Lindell, and his cyber symposium, how that went down. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about the infrastructure bill that passed earlier this week. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. I'm going to plug that right here. Peace and Chaos P1, Peace and Chaos P1, capital P, capital C, and capital P on the P1. Go here to Spotify now. We actually had our first our audio on Spotify about the Olympics. Make sure to go follow us on there. We'll be putting up all our live stream audios on there as well. So if you're on Spotify, go check out Peace and Chaos Program on there. And right before, also, we have our Instagram. We put out our video trailer of our amazing basketball one-on-one. Go check that out on YouTube and go check out the trailer that Big Don did an amazing job on and shot by Mike. So shout out Mike. That was on our Instagram. By the way, Instagram is Peace and Chaos _podcast, Peace and Chaos _podcast, all lowercase. Big Don, how's it going?
We're doing good. We got we got a special Sunday stream, but in reality, it's just because we've been a little busy. DJ Aceman here is on vacation.
Yeah.
So we've been going back and forth and trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. But we got a lot in store tonight, as it's been a relatively crazier week for politics, I would say so.
I would say so too. Yeah, there's been a lot of events that have gone down since we last did our stream 8 days ago. A lot to talk about, foreign and domestic. So let's jump right into it. So a month ago, President Biden, or over a month ago, made the obligation that there would be no more U.S. troops in Afghanistan by September 11th to mark the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Afghanistan has always been a strategic military place of operations. It has been a place where the U.S. has gone first to find Osama bin Laden and all the Al-Qaeda. That was their main goal first. And then later on to stabilize the country and make it more democratic so that it could be a stable region for the future. This week showed that the Afghanistan of today is similar, if not identical, to the one of 20 years ago. The Taliban is back. And if you saw on the news for the past several days, the Taliban has been increasing their momentum and have been taking over city after city, once where the U.S. and its allies used to take place. A lot has gone on. Critics have slammed the Biden administration and have tried to
force... We're calling for their impeachment right now.
Yep. So this has been a big thing going on in Washington. A lot of debates have been going on. The anti-war movement has been accelerating as well, but these two factors of pro-U.S. intervention and anti-U.S. intervention have been on display this week. There's been a lot of media interviews, and the news definitely has weighed in on both sides. But as of right now, the Taliban, rumored a couple hours ago, did storm into the president's palace in Kabul, and they're expected to, if not already, take control of the country. It's looking like they will. And we're going to talk a little bit about the ramifications and what we think would have been best for the Biden administration. So I'm going to start off with an open-ended question, Big Don.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Do you think it was a mistake that President Biden said that all U.S. troops were going to be out by the 31st of August?
That's a really, really tough question. Because this situation right now, there's absolutely no good solution for it.
Mm.
Now, the whole purpose of why we're going out of Afghanistan, and keep in mind, just want to throw this out there, it was the Trump administration that originally started the process of pulling all troops out of Afghanistan. So, I mean, blame who you want here, but this has been an idea for a while. There's been a lot of non-interventionist policymakers in Washington that have advocated for this, and certainly it's pulled highly amongst Americans that they want the troops out of the Middle East in general. So, but obviously you got a lot of repercussions here, as you leave the Afghan army and government wide open for an outside group such as the Taliban in this case to take over. So that becomes a question of, okay, do we send troops back in to to minimize this threat,
Mhm.
or do we just keep or do we just let nothing happen? Because the downside of sending troops in is you're kind of repeating the process, this whole entire cycle of what we've been doing in the Middle East for the past, I don't know, I like to say 80 years, because we've been intervening within the Middle East in terms of oil affairs for the
Mhm.
past, ever since the 1930s. And then it really started ramping up right when, I would say things started to really ramp up once we, in 1954, with the Iranian Revolution,
Yep.
where the CIA overthrew the government of Iran and then
Mhm.
installed the Shah, which was
Yep.
later overthrown by the by Iranians
Yep.
in the late 1970s. Of course, that led
Mhm.
to the Iranian hostage crisis, and then it dominoed into a lot of other foreign policy events. But either way, the point of what I'm trying to make here is we've had a really bad history of being in the Middle East and meddling in their affairs.
I agree. I agree. And now the U.S. is kind of on like crisis control here. The U.S. Defense Secretary today approved 1,000 war troops into Afghanistan due to the situation that is going on, which will make a total of 6,000 U.S. troops. And earlier today and past couple of days, the U.S. has been planning on getting all their diplomats out of Afghanistan as soon as possible. And today, the flag is no longer present in Afghanistan. So a lot has gone down. But I just want to say, and you made a good point about U.S. intervention in the Middle East. I mean, the Middle East is one of the biggest strategic areas in the world. It's literally the crosshairs between East Asia and Europe. It's also, I mean, it has been for years. That was where Mesopotamia was. It really has been, and it really has had a really strategic geographic location. And today it is such a big um, place because you have all these countries such as with a lot of rich natural resources. You have Syria, Iraq, Iran as well. And not only that, but there's also the point of wanting to surveil these countries too. You have a lot of these countries which are notorious to allow terrorists to hide out, and this is where there's a lot of these dens of terrorists who join different groups, and from there they come onto factions that might as well affect the United States. So U.S. foreign policy here is a mess. You saw it with the Syrian civil war years ago, and now it's kind of repeating itself again in Afghanistan. But I think that the U.S. right now is in damage control. They don't want to just let it fall like that and literally waste 20 years of being there. But also, you look at the same token and say, well, we've been here for 20 years. This war is probably going to go on forever now. If we did this 10 years ago and left, this would have been the issue. So, being there for that long kind of did hold off what would have happened. But, now we knew the inevitable was going to happen. I think this situation was inevitable. I think that once the US and all their allies were going to leave Afghanistan, the Taliban knew that time was coming, that, the US was going to say, enough is enough, we're leaving. And from there, they saw the moment and they jumped on it and they started taking over. And again, I think that the Biden administration is faced with a very daunting task. Um, this is a big challenge for them because Biden is trying to stand clear on his message that he wants all U.S. troops out. But now, with this issue, they're going to probably stay for a little while longer. And again, I don't think a lot of military officials really want to go back in and intervene. I think that you have public opinion who really anti-war right now. It's kind of a bipartisan thing too, where a lot of Americans are anti-war. Um, the 9/11 generation kind of has passed. That was 20 years ago almost now. So people are sick and tired of hearing about Afghanistan. But at the same time, if the Taliban do take over, what does that mean on the international front? You know, we're going to see human rights abuses. We're going to see the country go back instead of make progress. So that's a tough pill to swallow, but I think they're going to have to, figure out a solution fast.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna do some live polling right here. I'm gonna post something on Twitter. We usually do this during the day, but since this is still pretty much happening live right now, let's see here. Let's go to your screen here. Well, we're gonna do a live poll.
Yes.
And we're gonna post it directly to the wonderful people of Twitter.
Yeah, all the people watching right now, go on to our Twitter right now, which I have it right up on the screen right here. Peace and Chaos P1, Peace and Chaos P1. It will be coming up in quite a minute. So we're just going to put out right now. And yes, you can refresh the page in just a sec. It's going to come up real soon. Big Don, you're putting that together, right? Here we go.
Now I'm going to have you do that because I want to get this live. We're going to do it live.
Okay.
I was going to quote Bill O'Reilly there.
Is the question up?
No, it's not. I'll do it. Okay.
Okay.
Let's post a poll. So,
should the U.S. intervene in Afghanistan?
We're
just getting that up.
Hold on. Man.
Just a reminder to all those who are watching right now, you can also utilize the live chat. This is a great place where you can send us your ideas. We read the chat. We've had a lot of people use it in the past streams, so go ahead. We also check it, so don't feel like the comments during the stream. You can do that too. I mean, we like to read comments as well, but the live chat is a great interactive area. So yeah, we're going to put that up. We're also going to see, because this is live right now, we're going to jump back into this later on too, and we're going to go back. And yeah, go follow us on Twitter. We're going to put that back here, right here. Peace and Chaos P1, Peace and Chaos P1. You can also go tap it on the banner as well. And yeah, we want to see what's going on, and we want to see how our viewers and also the Twitter sphere feel about this, whether the U.S. should or should not go back into Afghanistan, because I think that most people do not want to see the U.S. go back in.
Let's see here. The Taliban is not a popular hashtag. Okay.
Afghanistan is. I mean, Taliban in Afghanistan, Kabul's a big one too. Biden.
Yeah, Biden, because I'm not sure if you want to. You can throw this up while we're on Twitter. Let's see the right now. Impeach Biden is trending, and I think that was trending last week as well, because people.
Yeah, it's been trending for quite a while. Let's see here. Yeah, we've had a lot of trending right now on Twitter for all those. Let's see. We have Afghanistan #4. Taliban Trump is trending. Camp David is also trending. Presidential Palace is trending. Kabul. Taliban is trending. Yeah, 1.72 million right now. Jeez.
Hot topic.
It's a really hot topic worldwide too. So all those, you don't even have to be from the U.S. because United Kingdom, Canada, France. This has been a big issue for the past 20 years. I mean, yeah, Taliban, all that's going on.
I'm still posting the hashtags. That's the
hey, no issues, no worries. People will have it up in just a second. We just had this idea, and we want to see what everyone thinks about this.
Yeah, and then we'll go back to
our spiel. See. All righty.
Politics live. Okay. I'll make this today. All right. Tweet.
It should be coming up right here, right now. Cool. Yes, it is live right now, people. For the next 23 hours. Try to get it within the next, 5-10 minutes. We're going to see what others are going to have to say. But
Yeah,
should
I'm
the
gonna keep
U.S.
an eye on
intervene
it.
in Afghanistan? Um, we'll get that live. We'll jump back into it. It's just been a couple seconds, but yeah, if you're on Twitter right now, go vote, go vote, go vote. Can't emphasize it enough. So yeah, we're going to be right back at it. But let's continue our conversation about Afghanistan. Yeah, there has been some updates with it as well. Russia has decided not to evacuate. Um, but yeah, going back to the United States, do you think it was a mistake by President Biden, to say August 31st? Or do you think that maybe he should have elongated it a tiny bit more, you know?
I mean, I would have liked to see that September 11th deadline in a perfect world,
True.
but who knows how long we're going to be there now, because now the Taliban has kind of done their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because now they're posing a threat to our national security.
And there's this also really good article. We're going to bring it up too. Some people say, well, you know what? Afghanistan is Afghanistan. It's not anywhere close to the United States. I'm not going to pay attention to it. And I'm like, okay. Some people don't really like to pay attention to foreign, issues whatsoever because they feel like it doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect where we live. But here's the reason why it should matter to a lot of people. Human rights is going to be a big thing. The Taliban, really follow these, say, out of touch, outdated rule book. They really do. They have executed people publicly. They have lynched people publicly. They stone people. They have this very extreme view that are human rights abuses. So that's going to be a big issue with them as well. Also, it's that belief that the Taliban also are, but they're also support terrorism worldwide. There are beliefs that they might be allowing Al Qaeda members and ISIS members to go to Afghanistan to train and do their all their intel work and everything else, so that they can, respawn and come back and cause issues. There's also beliefs that this might also affect what's going on in the region with Pakistan. There are beliefs that the
Right.
Pakistan Taliban has actually been becoming more powerful and that they may lead to the fall of the Pakistani government if they continue to get financial and human support. And also China as well. And the reason why China is one to concern, because China is actually they border close to Afghanistan, and
Right.
there are beliefs that China may help the Pakistani. I mean, might help the Afghan, whoever runs it, specifically the Taliban. They might actually help them with infrastructure, and there are also rumors that they may recognize the Taliban, and this also goes into the human rights abuses and their tough stance on governance. So that also is a big issue that needs to be addressed. And this is going to cause a whole lot of headaches for Human Rights Watch and also the United Nations. It's going to be a big issue. EU is going to have issues with it on the United States and their Western allies as well, the international community. This is going to be a whole big headache to all the work in progress that the US and its allies have tried to accomplish over the years. So that's kind of the reason why this Afghan takeover has become so important, because it's going to affect the future of international relations.
Yeah, and that's kind of the sad thing here, is because, I mean, even though Afghan is not the most strategic sort of country in terms of global stage within the Middle East, it still holds significant power there, and that we had a significant amount of investment over the past, like, we've been in Afghanistan since the 80s.
True.
Since because we funded the Afghan army to help fight off the Soviets, and that of course came back to haunt us a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, it has been, and yeah, look, I mean, Afghanistan was where the proxy war was with the Soviet Union, and the Mujahideen. And that was the big defeat to the Soviet Union, which was a big reason why they did collapse early on. That was a costly war for them, and also was a shock to the world too. That a bunch of, you know, at the time they were just rebel groups, and Osama bin Laden was actually a part of them. How he, and also a lot of not even Afghanis, but also people from around the region too. There were Iranians fighting in it, Saudis, Yemenis, Iraqis. It wasn't just Afghans, but there were a whole lot of support from around the region against the Soviets. And the US did help them in that proxy war that occurred. But yeah, you make the good point that Afghanistan, but it's the reason why it's just going to cause more issues for the international community. Reasons be that the US and others will not recognize the government. It's going to be an illegitimate government. We're going to see human rights abuses specifically aimed at women. We're going to
Yes.
see literally no freedom of press, freedom of elections. There's going to be rigged elections. It's just going to be a whole nother case that Freedom House and the United Nations and Human Rights Watch and a lot of other NGOs are going to really have a headache with. And that's the reason. It all comes down to whether it was really worth it in the end. And that's another question that I think the US is going to grapple with for years to come. What, for you, Big Don, I have a question. If you were the president, let's say you were in President Bush's shoes way back, and you knew that, let's say today, August 15th, 2021, that, okay, we're going to invade Afghanistan in 2003, but, or no, 2001, I believe. And, 20 years, almost 20 years down the road, this is going to happen. Would you say it's really worth it, or no? Because at the time it was worth it, I guess, to some degree, with the harvesting of terrorists and against national security. But today, is it really worth it with how it has affected and how it has played out?
Okay, that's a tough question because I mean, when Bush was still in office, Bin Laden was still out there. So I think if Bush were president, his strategy would just do a complete wipeout of sort of any sort of terroristic threat. I think there's only ultimately two options we could have went with in regards to how we treated the war on terror. We could have done a full out sort of scale of, I mean, we kind of did to some extent, but just a full out effort to combat any terrorism, which could lead to a lot of war crimes, and there's a lot of ethical issues with war in that regard. Or we could have just pulled out what we could have before we got ourselves into this mess. I honestly think we should have pulled out after we killed Bin Laden.
I agree too, but I think the one reason why they decided it maybe was a better idea to stay was because, you could surveil what was going on in Iran. That was one. You could have troops in the area so that, if things happen in Iran or in Syria, because don't forget, around that time, 2011, Syria was in the civil war.
Yeah.
It was basically starting to become a mess. ISIS began to rise.
Yeah, that's right.
Iraq. Because look, I mean, we saw the warning signs with Iraq. Iraq started to fall apart when ISIS started to rise up. And then you had Syria, they toppled. I mean, today it's a mess there. And you have Iran, which is pretty much an adversary of the United States. They were trying to become closer, but things escalated over the years since 2015 with the Iran deal. And today it's kind of rocky still. But I think that a lot of the U.S. strategy was that if we are going to stay in Afghanistan, it's because it's going to benefit our foreign policy for the region. We're going to have troops there. God forbid if there ever was any escalation in any area, and we believe that we had the obligation to go in to wherever it is, either Syria or Iran or Iraq. We'd have troops on the ground. That was pretty much the case. But you have the whole other side in saying that, do we really want troops there? Do we really care? We're not the world policeman anymore. We killed bin Laden. Yeah, we can still run some campaigns in Syria and Iraq, but I think at the end of the day, it's more beneficial to just send our troops home. There's really no need, if we know that the Taliban is going to rise up again, let our allies in Afghanistan figure that out. That's their country, their problems, not ours. So
Yeah, and obviously we could still send like aid to them and stuff like that. It's just can become a question of, okay, well, do we want to repeat the situation of what of the dozens of other times we gave aid to any Middle Eastern group?
Yep. All right.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting point there. All right. We just are going to have our first little update. We have 23 votes in as of right now on this Afghanistan. This is going to probably be our most popular poll. I think it is right now. We have 23 votes, 23 hours
minutes.
left, 10 minutes already in. Here are the results. Should the U.S. intervene in Afghanistan? It's kind of close right now, but 52% say no, they should not step foot, and 47.8% believe yes. I'm kind of interested as to why, but I think it's the reason is because the ones who say yes, I mean, I'm just kind of, my instinct is that they want to lead to a more stable region. I think that's the reason why.
Right.
They think that this could be a Saigon. It looks like it could be. It's heading that way, but I think that the reason why they say yes is because they just don't want another Vietnam to play out in another defeat. But I think the ones who say no, which still is just a slight majority as of right now, I think it's because they just want to live by that deadline. They don't want to have a forever war. And you know what? They knew that this was an inevitable situation. They knew that once the U.S. were going to leave, they were not going to be able to handle the Taliban's rise. So I think that was the reason why they chose that. That's just my guess there. But interesting. People go vote, go vote, go vote.
25 votes. Jeez, you guys are killing it.
Come on, guys. I know. Big ups to everyone watching right now as well. Leave a like on it. Thank you. And yes, 23 hours left. We'll probably come back a little bit later on in maybe the next 10, 15 minutes. But let's talk a little bit more about what is going on in Afghanistan. Sorry. All right, ignore that. So as I was saying, and as Big Don alluded to, this is a reminder of what happened in Saigon, specifically with when the U.S. did pull out, and it reminded the U.S. of how pointless the war in Vietnam was at the end, and how it was a failure. And it's looking like it could be. I think with this, I think that President Biden is in a hard spot with this. I think it's because he knew that last year, and even this year too, how public opinion on the war has shifted so much. After the Twin Towers went down, after the Pentagon was attacked, and after the other plane crashed into the field in Pennsylvania, after 9/11, I think the country it was one of the times in American history where the country literally came together and was not divided. And that was when patriotism was up, and the sense of pride to be an American was up too. And since then, I think that it has kind of shifted and it has kind of gone down. And reasons be, time has just passed. 9/11 now to some is a distant memory. You have people who fought who are now in their 30s and 40s, some in their 50s too. And the young generation, didn't remember it. I mean, I was a young kid back then, and so were you. And since then, a lot has changed, and I think that the opinions of war has changed a lot. People are kind of sick and tired of it. They know people who served. They know people who lost their lives. They really don't see it, being effective, and that's why I think that President Biden, saw this as an opportunity to say, what, enough is enough. We're ending. And I mean, his predecessor, former President Trump, also said that too. But do you think this could be his Saigon moment here? Even though, you still have people, you know, wanting to leave.
Let's. I mean, I think Biden will definitely be remembered for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think it's very easy to look at this and say like, oh well, Biden led to this, which I mean, it's a lot more nuanced than that.
Well, true.
But overall, I think this is going to be. I think Biden's getting heavily blamed for it right now, as you can see by the popularity of our poll. And I think the way he handled this situation, the promises he keeps on making in terms of when we're going to pull out, when we're not going to pull out, sending troops in, and then just kind of reacting to the situation going on in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's all going to be falling under him. And then what's kind of how we're divided as a country, it's going to be amplified
mm-hmm.
by people who are not only Republicans, but I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be some Democrats that are just like saying, oh, hey, look at what's going on in Afghanistan with the way the Taliban is treating, as we mentioned, as they treat women, as they handle elections. There's going to be a lot more pressure for our current military leaders and, of course, our commander in chief to actually make some sort of intervention and then, as we mentioned, prevent any sort of human rights violation.
Yeah, but that's a good point. Do you think though that Americans kind of just don't care about Afghanistan anymore? Do you think that there are some that just say, you know what, they're not our next door neighbor. We've been there for so long. Let's just say let's give up on it and let's let them figure it out. Let's let the United Nations, let's let other international organizations come up with a joint effort. The United Nations can also, in their pact, you can also do intervention on behalf of the UN. So the UN could tomorrow technically send in security forces because there have already been human rights abuses that have been breached by the Taliban. I mean, that honestly could be an option. No one really wants to invade a country though. But yeah, it's a good point there.
Yeah. But I will add to that to as a counter. I think over the years with 9/11 and the event and sort of how much attention our involvement in the Middle East has been getting in terms of media coverage,
mm-hmm.
I think people are going to look at this and say like, we need to stop any sort of threat of terrorism to countries such as America. And then also, I mean, we're still heavily aligned with Israel, and not everyone. I mean, Israel is kind of an island within its own, within
mm-hmm.
the Middle East. So maybe Afghanistan and the Taliban could be a threat towards that.
That's a good point too. This could lead to, as the NPR article we looked at earlier suggested, that this could also lead to, maybe a destabilized Pakistan in the future with their chapter of the Taliban there. If the Taliban do, which is looking like they will, overtake Afghanistan, could they also help finance a greater Taliban movement in Pakistan as well, which could lead to destabilization in that region?
Yep,
and yeah, go
not
ahead.
to mention though, Pakistan has a lot of sort of enemies as well.
India is a big one.
India is probably the biggest one, and that's going to be a whole nother situation if India starts to get involved within the foreign affairs that go around in the world.
Yes, this is just complicating situations. And yeah, this Afghanistan takeover does have a lot of effects. And there are people in the US that believe that the US should be isolated.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird stance. Basically, it's a big libertarian foreign policy stance where they believe that the US should kind of mirror what Switzerland does and stay neutral for most issues. They can have allies, but mostly stay neutral on most issues, don't get involved, which you can see has benefited Switzerland, but the US is not like a Switzerland. at all?
No, not at all. I mean, the reason why Switzerland has never been involved in any conflict, including World War II, it's because it's geography. I mean, it's like just a giant wall of mountains that surround the biggest European powers.
But let's say, do you think that an isolated U.S. foreign policy on Afghanistan would benefit the U.S.? Because they could just ignore this issue.
I mean, for the taxpayers, maybe, because of all the billions of dollars we pour into funding the Afghanis and then trying to establish sort of democracies there. So it really comes down to doing a risk analysis of, okay, well, if we spend this much, how much destabilization is going to go on within this region?
Exactly. That's a good point. What do you think is an attainable solution to this problem? Because there are numerous things that the U.S. can do. Right now, they're going to send in an additional 3,000 U.S. troops into Afghanistan. But what do you think is going to be any long-term solutions? Do you think that maybe U.S., future U.S. intervention along with, their allies, do you think that that could be a good idea to re-invade Afghanistan, or do you think that's off the table? Or do you think that just letting this play out, letting the Taliban come to power and maybe hoping for something that will take them out? Do you think that maybe just aiding the Afghan military and risking a civil war like we're seeing right now? Or do you think staying out of it in total would be the greatest option?
I think they're going to have to intervene, and we're seeing this right now. I mean, we'll see how the 3,000 troops we sent in handles the situation. But I mean, right now it's looking pretty bad for Afghanistan with how much they've taken over.
It's going to be a tough situation. We're just going to probably keep an eye on it because this is not going to end tonight. With the Taliban closing in on the presidential palace tonight in Kabul, we'll see the ramifications within the next couple of weeks, and we'll see the long-term ones as well when we convene on this issue. But any last words before we do a transition?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. This is not an easy situation for the U.S. to deal with, and certainly not an easy situation for Biden to deal with. And right now, people seem to be going absolutely nuts over here in the U.S.
Let's do one last check of our Twitter before we head on. So we actually just broke our Twitter
voting for the record.
Yeah. So yes. Wow, right now it is so close, people. This is looking like election day numbers right here. 51.5 to 48.5%. So right now the no's are still in the majority, but barely right now. 51.5% believe that the U.S. should not intervene, while 48.5% still believe that the U.S. should intervene. So it's very close right now. We'll still keep it locked. We've only had 25 minutes in. Just a reminder, if you're watching right now and you have not voted, please go vote on it. Again, Peace and Chaos P1. Peace and Chaos P1. Alrighty. Let's do a switch over here. As you can see by our thumbnail, we're going to talk a little bit about
Mike Lindell.
MyPillow guy. So yeah, the MyPillow CEO, which is Mike Lindell. So MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell had his little symposium recently. He's been in the news because he's been doing a lot of media interviews. He did one with CNN, which didn't really go too well for him. He's also had a couple, rallies around the country talking about his little, how do I call it? His little documents and all his research.
He's got the research.
Yep.
How much of it is actually valid? Not lots, but.
So he had that. He was posting about it on, Newsmax and all the rest. And then you saw the ramifications of that, all the consequences that he had to deal with the Dominion, I believe, suing him. He had to pay off something to them for
defamation.
Defamation. Yep. I think he claimed that something about Venezuela. He drew up all the skepticism about them, but he has been one of the biggest allies of former President Trump. We saw the infamous interview in January, I believe, with President Trump. And I remember, I don't know who it was. There was a journalist who took a picture of what Mike Lindell wanted to talk with President Trump. And one of them says election fraud, I believe, was one of the voter fraud, and fake stolen election was on his list, along with another numerous topics that he had with his meeting with President Trump. But this symposium went down this week. It kind of went up in flames immediately. Even the cybersecurity analyst who was working for Mike Lindell said that this is all fake. None of this is true. Yeah, he believed that it was a bunch of BS from the start. But Mike Lindell didn't think so, and still, some people still believe that this is real.
Yeah, did you hear what happened with Dan Crenshaw this week?
What happened? Oh no, yeah, I did. He knew that the election wasn't stolen, and
and
he
people
got
were getting
booed.
after him for that.
Well, I think the reality, because I know that I watched some interviews with him back in November, and this was when he was, leading up to him his race. He was basically saying all the same stuff as Trump. And then after the election, he even was still on board with Trump, saying that, there really was a stolen election. He said there's possibilities of voter fraud, all that. But I think now a lot of Republicans, even the legislators in Georgia, you saw with Governor Kemp. Also, you saw it, I believe, in Pennsylvania. I think that's a Democratic legislature, but there are some Republicans in it. And also, I think it's in Arizona. That one is stalled to the point where I don't think they're going to find anything. But you see it where, you understand that, arguing that the election was stolen, really is not. I mean, it still is with the Trump base, but even so with people who are, Bush supporters and, moderates, they're not really focused on that. They're not interested in it. But it's the people who are really diehard Trumpers who are, that conspiracy. I mean, it happened. Remember how they were believing that Trump was going to be reinstated on August 13th?
Yeah, then that day already passed.
Yeah, that was like a couple days ago now. But yeah, you had them, and they're a part of this Mike Lindell, fan crowd. And Mike Lindell has become a very influential figure. I mean, his My Pillows basically got canceled, but still people are buying them. He took all his ads off of Fox News because of them not giving coverage to the stolen election and all that drama. But his rallies were actually, he had some people attending his rallies. They weren't really empty. There were people that were, sharing his, concerns and beliefs. But what do you think about this? What do you think this says about My Pillow CEO, the My Pillow CEO?
I think this is a genius, absolutely genius stroke of marketing by Mr. Mike Lindell here in terms of finding a new audience for his pillows, because people are going to be because now he's got the crowd of people. He's got the cult-like crowd, and now the fact that he can just slap My Pillow on any sort of event that he goes to, I mean, that's a win.
I'm just pulling up the My Pillow sales. I want to see what actually happened.
But the
past, yeah, let me see here. My Pillow revenue. So yeah, a lot of sellers actually stopped, using My Pillow. Let's see here, the analytics. Okay, they earned $235.3 million in net sales for 2020. That is up big from 2019, and it looks like in 2021 it's doing pretty well as well.
Looks like he already surpassed.
Yeah,
2020
looks like he already surpassed,
which is amazing for him.
Yeah, I think also though with 2022, a lot of people were home, so that might also play a a role in it. But yeah, he became very prominent in like right after the election. He became a big figure. My Pillow, top online stores right now. He's number 48. Okay, not too bad, with Amazon number one. But yeah, it looks like he's doing pretty well. Even though he's pretty much got canceled, but I think he sees this as a great marketing tool. Also, it gets his name out there too because Fox News, one of the biggest mainstream conservative news networks, he basically pulled all his ads from there. He was also pretty much pulled from all other networks as well. I believe he still was doing it on like I think it was NBC or something years ago. He pulled that off. He pulled it off with CNN years ago, but he's on Newsmax and One America, I think. He still goes on there, but yeah, this is big news. I mean, still good for Mike Lindell, but what do you think about this symposium? Do you think that this is full on disinformation?
This is full on disinformation.
And yeah, yeah.
I mean, we can get into the conspiracies all we want, but what makes it a conspiracy is, I mean, it's not really fact by anything. So either way, we can't really confirm or deny that there was election fraud unless we look at like actual verifiable data. Like for example, there's been plenty of studies done on it. A lot of news outlets have come out and said, well, there wasn't really any election fraud. We had we had the own United States government. We had the
AG Barr even said it too.
AG Barr.
Yep. They all debunked this, immediately. And, I think that there was like a poll where it's like 99.65%, some random number where it's like it's usually like that, and then it's like 0.005 something. I don't know. It's less than 1% of like cases are voter fraud anyways. And I mean, you might look and say, okay, there was maybe like a couple here, a couple there, but even if there was a couple voter fraud issues, this was not on a wide scale. You would need a pretty orchestrated.
Yeah, it requires way too many independent sort of actors here in order to fully orchestrate it to the extent that they're claiming that it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would need state governments involved. You would need people who count the votes to be involved, and there were auditors who were Republicans, Independents, Democrats. So yeah, I mean that's the rule, anyways. So yeah, you would need, if you were going to rig an election, you would need state officials. You would need people who are in charge of voting. You would also have to orchestrate people who are ineligible to vote to get out and vote, which again, here in the US, it's illegal. If you are a felon, if you are undocumented, you're not allowed to vote. So yeah, you would need a whole orchestrated and coordinated group of people to do this. And it was not pulled off. You had AG Barr say that this was not real. And the Trump team try to go out, and they lost, I believe, 60 out of their 61 cases, and one was just a procedural case that they did win. It was not major at all. But yeah, they lost all their cases just about. And yeah, they knew they were going to lose. This was a nothing burger, but again, you have My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell still.
Yeah, but you got a big movement behind it as well.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? He's doing business with the Trumpers now, and he's still doing pretty well. Gotta say, people are probably buying his My Pillow. What are those? The satin sheets? They're pretty good, I guess.
I'll tell you what. I've only used My Pillow once. It absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
So before Mike Lindell had his Joker moments.
Yeah, I think I got like a My Pillow thing a couple years ago. It's kind of weird because in the beginning it sucks, but I have a mattress topper. I think I bought it like 3-4 years ago. It's okay. I use it sometimes. You can like wrap it up, but it's too big. And it was bad for the first year, and then the second year like mashes in a little bit, mashes into your back. But yeah, it's all right. I'm not too gone on him, but hey, you know what? He sees this as an opportunity to market his products. He might seem like a crazy dude, but to some people, he's spitting facts, I guess. But yeah, I think with Mike Lindell, he's probably going to still stay in the public eye. I think that he's going to still go on Newsmax and utilize his voice and his platform to continue to get My Pillow out there on the market and to get mostly people who I align with his ideologies to buy his products.
Yeah, Mike Lindell, you're a genius businessman, but I don't know. Does Mike Lindell actually believe this? Is the question.
I mean, it's that, or he's just putting on a public act. And I don't really want to outweigh that either. He might actually be putting on an act here. But I think that since he's such a big, ally to former President Trump, maybe he's maybe he isn't. But again, I think this was, as you mentioned, a strategy for him. And yeah, I mean, you could still see they're doing pretty well with net sales for the year. It's not over yet, too. So, I mean, they could definitely get more sales. So I think we're going to keep an eye on Mr. Lindell, who we put in the thumbnail. And shout out Big Don for making that. Big Don, another great.
Another amazing.
Right there. Amazing. Another amazing art right there for the thumbnail. Let's keep an eye back on Twitter. I want to just see what's going on. Whoa. Look right here. 38 votes in. We're at a 50-50 on the Afghan.
Oh, man.
Whoa. We'll still keep an eye on that. 36 minutes in. Let's go on to another. You have any last words on Mr. Lindell?
I want to make a Joker reference, but
go for
the
it.
thumbnail speaks to it all. he had his Joker moment. It's like the Papa John's memes.
Oh, okay.
It's like I don't think Mike Lindell has been kicked out of his own company. If it was like if My Pillow was like an actual legit company with like a board of like directors and stuff like that, would Mike Lindell be removed? I don't know. But he runs that company with an iron fist, so I guess he has the freedom to do his speaking tours with the money he's making off his pillows.
Yeah, it's definitely a top-down authoritarian company. It seems like no one can topple Mr. Lindell. I'm sure like most people like him too at the company. I'm sure that most of the people he hires are aligned with him and they're allies with him and they wouldn't stab him in the back. That's what I'm assuming.
Does this look like a man you would buy pillows from?
No. Have you read his book? Have you heard about it?
I've heard about his book.
Yeah. So apparently he had like a coming with God. Apparently the backstory is that he went to Mexico and I guess he was an addict. He was like a drug addict for a long time. And then he went to Mexico. I think he got into an automobile wreck. And I don't know what happened after that, but he said that he had a revelation and he became spiritual. And apparently God told him to start selling pillows. Like that was apparently what the story was behind Mr. Lindell. So that's why Mike Lindell started to sell pillows and he kind of became like a Christian voice in business. So yeah, that was kind of his whole little coming to God. And it's in his book that came out a couple years ago. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, go check it out if you like to learn more about Mr. Lindell. Okay, let's move on now. Let's segue to another man who
we've been covering for a while now.
Yes. We covered him last week's show. We covered him a couple weeks before. It has finally come.
He's gone.
He is gone. Former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, has resigned. And now people are wanting to know what's going to happen next. I mean, now you have rumors of who's going to run in New York for governor. You have current governor right now who is you have the current now, current governor who was the former lieutenant governor who is now kind of sounding off, but now you have Andrew Cuomo, who is now the former governor after sexual assault and sexual harassment allegations. There were 11 women. One could be criminally investigated, and also his, net worth is now going to drop off. But
yeah, no more money for Cuomo.
How do you think this all ended? And do you think this is going to hurt his legacy?
It is going to hurt his legacy. I mean, I don't know.
Also,
I mean, what become? I'm thinking back to good old Billy Clinton, whether or not he kind of, because people still think of Bill Clinton as a good president, despite the fact that he got impeached for getting a blowjob. I think the Cuomo situation. I mean, there's been a lot more controversy with Cuomo, especially with the nursing home situation.
I mean, that was when, Republicans were really on him back in the pandemic. But, when this occurred, Democrats couldn't, look away. Especially it would hurt their chances with women, too. And, Governor Cuomo also was someone who, he was one of those believe all women people. He had a lot of ideas that were pro women.
Yeah, but then again, he had a terrible defense of how he responded to being not charged, but being
alleged,
being alleged. He's like, I'm Italian. This is what we all do.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Cue the Russell Westbrook. What?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, what? Yeah, and it's one of those things that, as you alluded to with Cuomo, I think you made a good point about Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton, even though he was, facing impeachment, still a lot of Americans do, applaud him with his economic successes.
He was the last person, no, not the last president, last person to serve as president to balance the budget.
And I think that, yes, character is a big thing, but also actions are too. And, personal actions and also professional actions. And, Governor Cuomo in the beginning of the pandemic, there were, remember all those articles that were posted about him, calling him America's governor, and literally being the person who people were looking up to. And, since then, with the nursing home crisis and later on believing the numbers were rigged, and, people were literally being sent to nursing homes, mismanagement there. People were getting killed. I mean, were dying because of COVID. And then also the book sales too.
Yeah.
In that situation. And now with this one, which was the final straw, there was a lot of bad things that occurred within the past year. He had a really tough year from 2020, from like when the pandemic started to now, and it led to him resigning. And I think that he's not Bill Clinton, even though Bill Clinton had his incident with Mrs. Lewinsky. But I think with Bill Clinton, that was one incident. And although he was the commander in chief, he, I think that with Cuomo, there were so many controversies that it's going to hurt him a lot more.
It is. And I think people are going to be looking. I think with how media operates now, people are going to be a lot more looking down upon Cuomo, saying, okay, he obviously did a lot of bad things here.
Mm-hmm.
people are going to remember from that, because anytime you bring up Cuomo, guess what's going to come up?
Yeah, assault, harassment, nursing home, COVID. There's going to be a whole lot of slew of problems with Cuomo. But, looking at it now, I don't really want to change the topic, but how do you think now the successor of uh, Governor Cuomo, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, will do? Because she was talking about the nursing home crisis earlier. There were reports that she might be like looking into what happened with the nursing home crisis. Also looking at them forging the numbers. What do you think? How do you think she's going to do?
Well, I think that's a good sign that she'll do at least manageable with her own role as governor of New York.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she's holding these incidents accountable to what the people should look for and need out of what the actual numbers are of the nursing home situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be interesting to see how the election in 2022 plays out, and whether or not they want to give Hochul the nomination
Mm-hmm.
for the Democratic nominee for governor of New York.
Yep.
Because there's also heavy rumors of, I think it was it Liz James?
Yeah. Her could be Bill de Blasio, Letitia James, the Attorney General.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Letitia. What did I call her Liz? Jeez.
Yeah, her, also you're gonna have probably right now Governor Kathy Hochul, she'll be in the mix. Al Sharpton apparently is in the rumor mill. And some others who, may be more well known than, the former lieutenant governor, now governor. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that, but it looks promising that she is focusing on these former issues, and also we're going to get more answers into the Governor Cuomo probe. Even though he did resign, there are still more answers to get to. But any final thoughts on this?
Good riddance, Cuomo.
Yeah.
Cuomo, you messed up, and now you got to pay the price for it. Get him out of here.
Get him out.
And bring back the Tappan Zee Bridge. We're not calling it the Mario Cuomo Bridge anymore. We're not associating with that family no more.
Yeah, aren't there like rumors that they're going to rename it?
I have no idea if there's any rumors.
What was it called? It's called the Tappan Zee, right?
The Tappan Zee Bridge.
And that's named after who?
Well, Cuomo recently renamed it after his father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a New Daily News article, and a couple other. There's some push for it to be bring back, and besides, no one actually calls it the Tappan. No one actually calls it like the Cuomo Bridge. They always call it the Tappan Zee Bridge because it was that for decades.
Yeah, you got to rename it Tappan Zee again. Let's go, people.
We need the Tappan Zee back. I cannot go to New Jersey on the Mario Cuomo Bridge. I'm sorry, I'm not taking it.
Called the Tappan Zee. Or we call it the Big Don Bridge.
Yeah, the Big Don Bridge.
Or the Big Apple Bridge. I don't know. Maybe rename it the Derek Jeter Bridge. New York legend.
You do a lot of things with it.
Denzel Washington Bridge.
Yeah, now they're going after all the people that have been canceled. Like they had Trump National Park.
Isn't it just like a tiny park?
Yeah, Trump State Park. It's literally just nothing. It's literally just like a little trail.
Wow.
And the grass hasn't even been cut in it. I went there once, like a couple of weeks ago, and it's disgusting.
How do you think Trump would feel?
He probably just walk away from it. He's like, whose park is this? It's absolutely disgusting. Trump's got your name. Who made this park? Who funded it? I did not have anything to do with it. He probably says something like that.
He probably would like, this is Hillary's park, not mine. Yeah, he'd probably want no association with it whatsoever.
Yes, and that's why we don't want any association with Cuomo.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you see all these statues, and I mean, of the past, with the Confederacy. Do you think that we're going to start seeing statues and other, you know, um, prominent features being taken down due to past actions?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, people in New York are not very happy one way or another with the parks that are named after people. But mm-hmm. Not going to be the same magnitude as the as the take down the Robert E. Lee statue. Obviously not. That's a whole entire other different situation. If you want to go look at Charlottesville. Mm-hmm. But true. I think unlike Charlottesville, I think if there's a movement behind getting rid of these names within public places, within states, then hey, that's completely fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go on to our last thing, and it's our segment on what's going on in Washington.
Hey, what's going on?
So earlier this week, the infrastructure bill passed the Senate. We're going to talk about what the hell is inside it. So yeah, it did get bipartisan support. 19 Republicans did vote for the bill, including Senator and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Mitch, he's stepping up.
Yeah, Mitch.
Obviously not very favorable amongst GOP leaders right now, but
yeah. Mitch McConnell did step up with this. And this is what the bill entails. It's going to be $110 billion for roads and bridges. And it also includes $73 billion for electric grid and power infrastructure, $66 billion for passenger and freight rail. We move on to $50 billion for Western water storage. And don't forget, right now, there is a big water shortage in Arizona as well as Nevada due to the ongoing drought. Yeah, what's going on there? $39 billion for public transit. So that's going to be big. $25 billion for airports. $11 billion for road safety. Let's go here. $21 billion for environmental remediation projects. $17 billion for ports and waterways, and $15 billion for electric vehicles. And also I was reading that there's specific provisions in there as well to start to make school buses for bigger cities, make them start running on electric school buses too. And that was addressed in this. So this is a big green, there are a lot of environmentally friendly provisions on this. It also is great to see that some Republicans were able to go ahead and, go to the negotiating table and actually figure this out, because this has been on the table for roughly almost 3 months now. So it has stalled over time, but it is nice to see that some Republicans, 19 in total, did step up with this. Any thoughts on this, Big Don?
Yeah, have you seen the latest UN climate report?
Yes, I heard about how I gotta go pull that up.
I'll just tell you, it's pretty doomer.
Yeah, I heard about I think it's gonna raise sea levels are gonna rise by like 2 feet, right?
Yeah, and then the global temperature was supposed to like the CO2 emissions temperature was like around 105 degrees, which is a mark we've been trying to avoid now for decades now. But now that's looking like it's irreversible.
Yeah, let's go here.
So I think this bill is I'm not sure. I'm not sure the timeline of this bill, if it was done before or after the UN report, but I think Republicans are trying to make some sort of sense here of the potential harm of climate change, because climate change is a huge threat for not only the United States but the entire world population. If you want to go into like the effects of how that could affect migration,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna lead to a massive debate.
Yep.
Like, imagine if people had to start leaving their homes and then start immigrating towards the United States. That would cause a lot of uproar.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We talked about it too with a couple weeks ago now in Germany and France and Belgium with the floods that were going on in Western Europe. Also, the extremities of monsoon season now in South Asia, specifically in India, and then you also have the locusts and the drought that was going on in the Horn of Africa, and also the drought that's going on and the heat wave that was going on in the Northwest here in the U.S.
Yeah, we're
Um,
talking
yeah,
degree levels in like the hundreds, 105s, high 90s. I mean, it was a hot week.
oh yeah, it was a hot week here, and I mean now Europe too. I mean now you're seeing London seeing temps in the 80s now, which was unheard of 50 years ago. Also, there's reports that the annual temperature is going to go up 1.5 degrees, which really was not what they wanted with the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement, which wants to minimize at 1.5 degrees as being the biggest increase. But it's looking like we're going to probably surpass that. And with the pandemic, one thing that was promising was that there were lower CO2 emissions due to the shutdown. But once pretty much
As
it's
everything
all
started
over now.
opening back up, people will be driving their cars.
Yeah, yeah, but not only that, but we're also going to see more pollution from buildings, from factories, etc. And I mean that is just going to do a toll on our ozone, which is going to start the whole issue over again.
So yeah, I think I think this is a good sign things to come, but we gotta be a lot harder on this.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it looks like the world is kind of going back on its kind of falling back again, which is definitely something that needs to be addressed ASAP because I think that if we don't act fast, we are going to have to deal with migration. We're going to have to deal with. There's also going to be a lot of more issues to be aware of too. Lack of water,
Yep.
lack of
Ecosystems.
ecosystems as well. So this is going to be big for human sustainability of the future. So this is something that we need to find solutions on right now, and we need to act fast, or else, I mean, we're going to be screwed.
Yeah, and looks like the UN's acting all is raising the alarm here.
Mhm.
But back to the bill here, I think overall, like UN report aside, I think this is all relatively good stuff that we should be funding.
Yep.
We covered this a couple of times, but there's definitely areas within infrastructure that need improvement, especially if you look at roads and how much those are pretty much indrivable at this point, and how old bridges are. The average bridge in this country is
Close to
almost
50.
it's almost 50, which is which is pretty much pushing its life expectancy at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good because a country with poor infrastructure really is not going to be able to succeed in a lot of ways. So I think it's a good idea that this was a top priority. I think it's going to lead to a lot of job creation. Also, it's going to lead to better roads and bridges and ways of transportation. It's going to be safer for Americans, and it's overall going to benefit the country too. And this is something that I think was necessary, and I think that it was a success for the country this week that this was passed.
It was, and it's good to see there's actually some bipartisanship amongst the party lines.
Yep.
To come together and then put together a bill that will lead to the benefit of Americans.
Exactly. Exactly. Alrighty.
Let's kick back to the poll here, and then we'll do our wrap up.
Yes. Here we go. All right. We have now 43 votes.
Yes, has taken the lead.
Yes has taken the lead right here. This is like election day. A couple minutes ago, we were at about 51-47. We're now back to 51. This time, yes has taken the lead. Should the U.S. intervene in Afghanistan? We have had this poll out for an hour now. 51.2% believe yes, the U.S. should. 48.8% no. So we're still close to that 50-50 mark. I don't know. By the end of this, I think it's going to be close. I don't think that we're going to have a clear, I think it's going to be contentious. I think it's going to be a clear, flip-flop. And again, this might not even be Americans answering this poll as well. We might have international listeners and people who felt the obligation to fill it out too. But yes, so yes, right now, 51.2 to 48.8. If you're watching right here, go check it out. Go click on it and go vote, please, because this is definitely going to be something that is a hot topic right now. Over 1 million tweets on Twitter for people who have been keeping up with this, and we appreciate everyone for their input here. So yes, continue to vote on that. Continue to spread the word. It's on for another
50. That'll be good.
Yeah, hopefully we do. Yeah, the more, the better. Okay. Let's go see what's going on Twitter real quick. Let's see if anything else is going on with Taliban. Hold on.
I think it's mostly just Taliban at this point. News.
Yep. They entered the presidential palace. This is according to France 24. Afghanistan's President Ashraf Ghani relinquished power to an interim government led by Taliban commander Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar. In order to avoid the bloodshed, I thought it was best to get out, Ghani said in a statement as he fled the country. Nations such as the US, UK, Germany, and Canada are using their troops to evacuate their nationals. At the same time, the US Embassy in Kabul has suspended all operations and told Americans to shelter in place, saying it has received reports of gunfire at the international airport, according to the AP. Okay. So this is live right now. Again, I think it's early morning in Kabul. I believe it's 9 a.m. or so right now in Kabul. So yeah, we're going to keep on getting more later on. I don't know why Richard Engel's trending. Yeah, Richard Engel is going to be...
He's probably going to get kidnapped.
This is what he said. Thinking tonight about all the Afghans who only knew what life was like about over the past 20 years. There was violence, yes, but also hope and opportunities. Now both are gone, especially for girls and women. So yeah, he's the NBC correspondent. Let's see. Embassy update. Almost all embassy personnel have now relocated from the embassy compound to the airport. The American flag has been lowered from the U.S. embassy compound. So yeah, it looks like he just is starting. He probably just woke up or something. But he is in Afghanistan at this moment. It's crazy to see how things are unwrapping before our eyes right now.
This is big news. Taliban. 5K Taliban.
Let's see here, Taliban.
Taliban's doing a 5K.
I don't know. Yeah, apparently Trump did do a peace deal with the Taliban. Yeah, no, that's why Taliban Trump is trending. Okay, that explains it.
Yeah, not a good look for Trump here too.
Well, it looks like, yeah, France 24 has been giving us information. Shout out France 24.
Yeah, shout out to were they one was France 24 the ones that did the Beirut coverage that got memed?
Yeah. Yeah, they've done a lot of they've done some good coverage.
We all know why it got memed.
Oh yeah, we know why.
Oh yeah, shout out to the death of Bernie Gors.
Yeah. R.I.P. Bernie.
He will be missed.
I want to see what else is on Twitter here. Afghanistan.
Yep.
A lot of Afghanistan here tonight.
That's Supreme Court. Not bad. Clippers, they made a trade.
They did.
Yeah, they traded Rondo, and then they're in the game back Eric Bledsoe, who was on the Clippers when he was a rookie.
Yeah, they got rid of Pat Bev. It's pretty big. Wow. How's a Woj bomb? Right, let's give one last look. See if anyone else voted. Nope, still 43%.
Vote.
43, I mean.
Go out and vote. All right.
Go out and vote, people. Go out and vote. Anyways, I think we're going to start wrapping it up here. Thank you all again for watching. We appreciate everyone for tuning in, even if you could only tune in for a little bit tonight. All those on the West Coast, we usually do our streams on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So that's 5 p.m. Eastern time for you folks. And then from there, wherever you live, it's 8 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday nights. I believe next week we are going to do our live stream at our time, unless something occurs. Big Don and I are going to be busier in the fall, but we will keep you all updated on that. Thank you all again for watching tonight. And here are the plugs. Here's the Twitter, Peace and Chaos P1. Follow us on Spotify, Peace and Chaos program on Spotify. You can go check out our latest audio, I should say. And then on Instagram as well, Peace and Chaos _podcast, Peace and Chaos _podcast. And on YouTube, we do additional content as well. We just had our amazing basketball game that came out just on Wednesday. You can go check it out. Good game between Big Don and I. So if you want to, go check that out after the stream is over. Good game. And yes. And if you ever cannot make it to the live stream, don't worry. It always is on our YouTube. So if you can't make it for whatever reason, go check out that as well. No worries there. All right. Thank you all again for watching our late night stream. Any last words, Big Don?
Cool. Bring back the Tappan Z.
Bring back the Tappan Z.
That's what I'm going to be advocating for the next several months.
Okay. Bring back the Tappan Z bridge it is. Have a good night, everyone.
Peace.